Okay, let's have a look at these two guys. They just got done playing a game, 24-15 versus 27-95, the Philidor defense. So let's see how it progresses. This is a 5-minute game, and not the most ambitious setup for black, but again, it's a blitz. The Philidor doesn't have any weaknesses to it, but again, not very ambitious. So there is, when I see f3, I'm thinking that the queen is looking to bump up to d2, stop knight g4 stuff. So queen d2 and queenside castle. The most common way to castle is kingside, but you should look into queenside castle should the d file be half opened for you. Kind of accomplishes two things. It immediately gets your king to safety and then puts the rook on an active file all in once. However, I guess the king still needs to take an additional step. Usually there's a sensitive point. If you could envision the king on c1, there could maybe be some issue later on as things progress with the a2 point. So this knight is kicked back, and pretty much with this, there might be the possibility of inserting a check. If the knight goes away right away, we'll have queenside castle, and then these pawns start to advance. So one benefit of inserting this move is that h4 is not as easily played. So bishop g5. I guess we could have repetition. Okay, now it's actually the queen who will be coming out. And in this, I still actually like white, despite the queens coming off the board. This knight doesn't have a support point. It is a hole, but can it be maintained? If king g3 or e3, well, king e3, it's a little bit iffy being on a half-open file. King g3, g5, h4. Maybe h4 would be a way, but actually what's most direct is just hitting at what? The unprotected pawn, and this seems like it's going to be a win. Right? Is that too far-fetched? White is up a pawn. Where's their compensation? I'm not seeing it. These knights, they're functioning on the dark squares, but again, they don't have support. King g3, g5, h4, h6. I don't know that you could undermine this knight any further. Maybe knight here. Bishop e2 is another thought. Just letting the knight sit. And now, okay, white's trying to get rid of one of these knights. So I think, well, if you take the knight, now this knight will have a support point on f4. I was thinking to take so that the bishop could play here and give check, and that's what we're going to have. But now this becomes a little bit worrisome for me. If I'm looking on the white side, I'm seeing I'm up a pawn, but that extra pawn that I'm up is backwards. Like, how do I even get him working? How do I show his full strength? How do I get in f4, let's say? It's not so easy. And actually, instead of king g3, I was liking knight to e2. Trying to get rid of the most valuable black piece, the one that's in white's territory, this f4 knight. So black just gained some space here with b5. And another thing to be aware of is that should the knights be exchanged, black would still have the better bishops, or the better bishop, just because of these fixed pawns. You look to these to determine which bishops are good and bad, ones that can't move. In particular, well, usually the ones that are in the center. So I guess d4, black is eyeing up that d4 square. Rook d1 is my first thought. This knight needs some work. I think better would be to get this knight on e3. He's kind of stuck for as long as this pawn is on c6. There's no forward progress that he can really make. So just under 3 minutes for white. These are my candidate moves. Rook d1, bishop e2, I guess h4, maybe grabbing some more space, maybe looking for g5. Okay, so this is strictly defensive, watching over d4 and f4. Maybe grabbing some more space with a5, getting this rook to d8, right? There's a disconnect still between the white rooks, so it can't be contested right away. Not so sure. I guess maybe this is another thing. Get the king a little bit closer to the center. I'm not sure what else is really coming to mind here. Okay, so now this is reinforced, and should knight d4 be played, we'll have a capture towards the center, and then there could be some play against c2. So I think we're quite close to seeing that happen. Okay, maybe not. But now with this move, d3 is weakened, so black can play c4, knight c5, to d3, and that could be quite annoying. This knight has, well, it continues to struggle to do something from c3. It wasn't able to get to these advancing squares, d5 in particular. It went to e2 as a strictly preventative move. And now after c3, it's kind of stuck, right? It can only go backwards. And backwards isn't improving. Rook h to d1 comes to mind. Getting one of these rooks to one of these two files, or even c4. Okay. Okay, maybe this is opening up a diagonal towards this knight. Trying to remove the knight, and maybe what black could be looking forward to is a position where there's this good knight versus a bad bishop. For as long as this white bishop is on the board, I think it's a liability. White would be perfectly welcome to exchanging out this bishop for the knight or bishop of black. So we're close to seeing this. White, I'm pretty sure, will never be capturing on b4 because that would grant black access to the d4 square. Rook d5 is interesting. I think the better would have been inserting bishop c4, asking this rook a question first. Although no, he was on this pawn. Okay, so I'm seeing a reason to not do bishop c4. This pawn was being threatened. And it's a bit curious to actually see what we're seeing asking for a take back. Let me go to the spectators in case anything crazy is said. I went into prevent mode there. So black has complete control of the d file, and well, that is what we now have. Oh no, we are having the take back. Okay, so what's the story here? Some little trick? I guess a take back there. So after bishop takes knight, now we are waiting for white to move, and we just have the immediate recapture. I thought that was a little bit weird that the rook played there. Oh man, is that why? That tricky knight. That's why there was a take back wanted right there. Oh man, that's why black was like, okay, I'll let you take that one back. I'm gonna hit you with the fork. Oh, knight f4. Oh my goodness. Okay, anyhow, after that smoke cleared, black has just upped the exchange and will be winning this. I'm pretty sure the time is pretty much equal. This rook will play to the 7th. Rook d2, grab this pawn and you're threatening here. Or just exchange a little bit more. I think this is quite alright. Get this king centralized, get him to d6, and then get the rook active. There's nothing for this bishop to attack. Or just rook here. Double up. Is there a better file than the d file? Probably not. Okay. Rook b8 to b2, and I would not be surprised if white resigns very soon. Hitting everything. a2 with the bishop, h2. No good solution, nothing to attack. And we do in fact have resignation. So, interesting game. Let me just go back. Oh no, they just started. I'm not able to go back. But an interesting game. Again, keep in mind that position, even though white was up a pawn, that extra pawn wasn't really able to do anything. And so it's tough to give it that full 1 point value in such a position. Anyhow, as usual, I hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Bye.